Hey guys, I'm Kent and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got the DHM 149cc big bore kit for the 2022 Plus Honda Grom and Honda Monkey. I'm going to be throwing this on my 22 Repsol themed bike that I'm currently running the Yuminashi 139cc big bore kit. So curious to see how much more power I pick up with an extra 10cc. I'm currently making about 14.5 horsepower on that bike, really looking to get over that 15 horsepower number, so interested to see what a little bit more displacement gets me. Anyway, installation on this is really simple. I've done a few videos now on big bore kit installations. I'll link one above and to all of the ones that I've done in the description below. But it really is just a matter of pulling off the cam gear, the head, pulling off the old jug, getting the new stuff back on. Also to make sure that I gap the rings. I have had some mistakes in the past that I've learned my lesson from. It's a really easy process, and one that, while usually the rings are gapped correctly, might as well make sure before you put it on and start ringing this out. So I'm going to get it on the bike, try to get some quick miles on it because I'd like to get it up to rider's block, get it dynoed, and see what kind of numbers I'm making. For once, I actually read the directions before I got started so that I could have everything that I need before I get going. So first of all, the kit comes with 3 different gaskets. One that goes in between the head and the cylinder, and then it has 2 for between the cylinder and the case of the engine. The directions say that if you're running race fuel only, don't use the paper gasket, but if you're running pump fuel, which I will be on this bike, use both the copper and the paper gaskets. So that's why there's 3 gaskets included in the kit. It also mentions that an NGK C9RE spark plug is required, and that's why I had to run to AutoZone because I didn't have one of these. For reference, the C9RE is also called the 6263, so if you're looking it up online, that's how it may be listed. It's also nice that the instructions show me how to gap the rings. So it says to use 0.011 inches for the first ring and 0.013 inches for the second ring. On previous installs, I've had to do the math myself to figure out what the right gap is, so that'll make that process that much easier. It also mentions 91 octane is the minimum that you can run on this bike, and again, unfortunately here in California, that's the best that I can get if I'm not at one of those special pumps that have race gas. And it also says for the A-Racer to set spark timing advance to -6 across the entire table, if you're using pump fuel, which again, I will be on this bike, and that spark angle can be adjusted when we're dyno tuning, which I'll hopefully be doing here soon. So now let me get the engine ready and get this kit together. To get the head all the way up, I need to turn the steering a little bit to the left, so I need to precariously back it out of the lift and kind of hold it. Let's see if I can do this without dropping anything. Obviously a helper would be helpful, but and then the piston comes off. So here's a quick look at all 3 cylinders. This is the stock one, this is the Yuminashi 139, and the DHM 149. And you can see, let's see, starting on this side, how much space there is between this head stud and the cylinder. And then as you move to the Yuminashi, that it gets a little bit closer. And then here with the DHM, closer yet. There's still plenty of space that I think there's going to be plenty of reliability, but you can see there's not too much more room to go until you start getting close to those head studs. All right, so ring gap. The top ring is the silver ring. The second ring is the black ring. And then you have the oil rings. So the installation instructions say 0.11 inches is the gap for the top ring. And again, the way that I do that, take the new cylinder here that I'm about to throw on. I get the ring started into the cylinder. And then I use the new piston to lightly press it in and making sure that everything is perfectly level. And then the gap that I'm measuring is the distance between where these two clips are getting close together. And the reason that we gap the rings is because once the engine heats up, that gap is going to close. If it closes so much that there isn't any room for expansion, everything's going to get really hot and start to melt. Trust me. Yeah, and that just barely doesn't fit, so I'm going to file that down just a little bit. Okay, so after a bit of sanding, I've got the gap exactly at 0.011 so that it just barely fits. I'm going to do the same with the black ring. Again, that goes to 0.013 inches of a gap, and there's no gapping the oil rings. All right, so I've got the oil ring sandwiched on here. The oil ring also has 3 different gaps, so try to have all 3 of those gaps timed at different places within the piston. And then the black ring goes in the middle and the silver ring on the top. The other thing to pay attention to is there's a little piece of writing. You can see there's like an R or something right there. The lettering always faces up towards the front of the piston. So I'll get these 2 rings on and then we'll get that wrist pin through on the rod. Okay, so I went ahead and put one of the G-clips in on one side. Also pay attention, there's an arrow indicating which, damn it. So I had this video up for only about 5 minutes before a couple of people commented that I put the piston in the wrong direction. So I quickly pulled the video because the last thing I want to do is get the wrong information out there. I confirmed with David from DHM, as well as a quick internet search clarified that the arrow should be pointed down. You can see it right here. Anyway, thank you very much to the people that commented about the correct way to do this. I learned something and hopefully some of you did too. So I'm going to put a little bit of assembly lube on the wrist pin and push it through, and then I'll get the other G-clip on. I also put on both of the gaskets, the paper one and the copper one, again running both if you're running pump fuel, which I will be doing on this bike. And make sure that it's completely in that groove so that it can't come out. You take it off the stand so that I can show you. There's a little hole here for prying it out, but make sure that the open end isn't crossing over this little hole. Rotate it so that, in my case, the open end is right up here and the hole is down here. On my last install, I used assembly lube inside the cylinder, but I was advised to use regular engine oil instead, so I'm going to get a light coat of engine oil inside the cylinder. And then getting the piston into the cylinder is just a matter of squeezing the rings one by one and putting light pressure on the cylinder. Okay, and don't forget to put the pulley wheel back in. There's also this plastic piece that sits in here to make sure that you're not getting too much chatter from the timing chain. And then I'll get the head back on, and we're getting close to firing this up. Alright, so I've got just over 20 miles on the bike. Unfortunately, I ran out of time and I didn't get a chance to get up to Rider's Block to get a dyno tested quite yet. So I'll save that for a future video. Just from the butt dyno perspective though, this bike is now making over 15 horsepower. I'm pretty sure of it. It definitely feels a lot torquier, and in the last few miles I've been pushing it a little bit harder. It feels faster than the previous kit that I was running. So really excited to see exactly how much power it's making, and we'll get to that in a video coming up here soon. So anyway, thank you everybody very much for watching. Thank you to DHM for providing me with this kit and letting me try it out. I'll link again in the description directly below if you want to check the kit out for yourself. So thanks again everybody very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and keep on building.